Let me change topic just a little bit here because we have this entity in the state of Texas called the Texas Family Law Foundation or the Texas Anti-Family Law Foundation. And it's very interesting because they have a message on their website and they're talking about all of these bad bills that they're opposing. They're opposing no-fault divorce. They're opposing 50-50 shared parenting. Anything that they oppose is something good for society.
That's right.
They are, the Texas Family Law Foundation, in my opinion, is almost a cover or an accomplice or an enabler of criminal activity among the family law attorneys.
Yes.
And the victims are not just the parents, but the children.
That's probably the biggest.
Yeah, the children, the grandchildren, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, fathers, mothers, everybody. Simply so that they can make money off of conflict. Escalate conflict and charge you incredible amounts of money.
Anywhere from $200 to $600 an hour.
Well, $200 is a very cheap lawyer for sure.
I agree.
So,
but it's still, when
Yeah.
you talk about people who are hiring potentially those lower amounts, right? Those are probably your people that are going to spend the most amount of billing hours.
right,
But you're also talking about people who don't have high or exceedingly paying jobs.
right,
They need somebody to talk for them.
right,
So they still bill,
right.
but it's at a lower rate.
It actually takes advantage of people that are, and I hate to say it like this, but maybe less educated, less able to do things on their own, less able to earn money.
That's right.
And it really is horrendous against them. But what I want to ask you is that these people, the Texas Family Law Foundation, or as I often call it, it's the Texas Anti-Family Law Foundation,
Absolutely.
the family destruction attorneys, they go and they speak to our legislators and they come to them. It's kind of like, the movie The Devil Wears Prada.
Right.
The devil doesn't come to you as an evil being, as a fiend, as something that's hideously ugly. The devil comes to you as a family law attorney, and very calmly and
Dressed perfect.
yes, and they try to tell legislators, this is what's good for the children and the families of the state of Texas. And our legislators don't have enough discernment in many instances,
Right.
in my opinion. And that's why we have laws. I would not be surprised in the least to find out that these child support bills that you just talked about were inspired or were somehow maybe, the Texas Family Law Foundation may not have been involved in talking to a legislator. You really want to help the people out. And
Right.
of course, they're always talking about you really want to help out the single moms. Well, sometimes single moms are single moms by choice.
Right.
And by their own mistakes and stuff like that. But I just wanted to get your opinion about these lobbyists, these people that profess to be looking out for the best interest of the children, and so on and so forth.
Well, I'll say this, is I think that what they do is they take that very small portion, and I say small, it becomes bigger than small, but it's a small portion of cases that do have the true abuse,
Right.
the true alcohol, the drugs, those things that are in this small bowl,
Right.
and that's what they pander to.
Right.
If we don't protect them, but the problem is that, okay, we're protecting them, but we're infringing and hurting the ones who have two fit parents
Right.
that are doing everything they can, but they
Right.
take that bowl of laws
Yeah.
and they apply it to every case.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. When you have two, I have yet to be found to be an unfit parent in
Right.
this case.
Yeah.
Nobody said it.
Yeah.
Child custody evaluator, anybody else that's in that portion of it. When you take out and you ask, is anybody unfit? And they say no, you got to get away from this bowl.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the Texas Family Law Foundation sticks, because you said it, I think biggest, is that the higher the conflict, the more money comes into a pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other side of that is how much they get to disperse to everybody else that's going to help their cause.
Right.
Their cause.
Right.
Because you change that, you go around and you start asking questions, and I think we've, the Bernsons, right? Bresnans, they're the ones that you see of people wanting to talk to them. They don't want to talk to the public. They
Right.
only want to talk to the people that can get them what they
Right.
want.
Right. And the interesting thing about the Bresnans is They represent the Texas Anti-Family Law Foundation, the divorce attorneys. They represent the Texas Trial Lawyers Association.
Yes.
They represent the Texas Court Reporters Association. Now, if you have prolonged litigation, do court reporters benefit from this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you have some type of legislation that if you prolong the litigation, do the Texas trial lawyers also possibly benefit from this? Because a lot of times in in family court cases,
They turn criminal.
they turn criminal.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly.
And I'll tell you, I saw it in a paper that Amy Bresnan wrote about, I think it was in 2010 for her master's thesis. And she talked about lobbying in the state of Texas. And she used the Texas Family Law Foundation as one of her examples. She had 2 references to them in the paper, as I recall. But I think the modus operandi that they use is the Texas Family Law Foundation. If you look at the money that they give, it's not there. So the Texas Family Law Foundation is presenting themselves to the legislators. We're here to help you.
Right.
We have solutions. But if you take a look at what the Texas trial lawyers, who they donate money to, and not this last session, but the session before that, they gave over $2 million. 97% of that went to Democrats. I think 3% went to Republicans. Part of it went to Republican because he was running against a very strong conservative Republican. They're like, we don't want this guy in here,
Right.
so we'll help to fund him.
That's right.
They also have over 30%, 33, 35% approximately of their money goes to people that are on, that either may be on or were on the Juvenile Justice and Family Issues Committee. So they're buying
Right.
legislators.
Seats.
Right.
Seats.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're also about 35% or so goes to people that are actively part of like the LGBTQ lobby. And here's the reason that is the case, because the lesbians and the gays and the queers and the bisexuals and transsexuals, whatever, they want all these rights. They want to have these rights, but how are the rights going to be enforced? They're going to have to go to court.
That's right.
So they know that by backing these legislators, I'm going to tell you that, the people that are engaged in some of this stuff, like the LGBTQ rights and stuff like that, let them go to family court for 10, 15 years.
Right.
And maybe they're going to say, man, we never should have done this.
Absolutely.
But for the attorneys themselves, this is like hitting the jackpot to get laws changed that benefit their profession.
Well, what it does also is, if you think about it, the more laws that are put in place, the laws are not created for just the lawyers. They're created for the civilians to protect us, for us to follow by. The lawyers are the ones who present those to the court, right?
Yeah.
We found a reason why.
Yeah.
Well, the more you add to it, the more you have to go get a lawyer. You
Right.
can't keep up with
You
it.
can't keep up with it. And the other thing is,
harder to defend.
the more laws that are on the books, the more your freedom is restricted.
There you go.
I mean, you can be breaking. I remember a police officer one time. I went to complain against a police officer in Rockwall, Texas, and the guy that I was complaining to, he brought out the Texas traffic code, and he said, "This is," and I said, "I know what you're telling me." He says, "The moment I get in the car, I have violated the law somehow."
Right.
I just you just have to find out where it is. That, like, I cannot do anything. I'm not a free person. There's some way that just by stepping into the car, I'm sure that I have violated the law. This was the way he was defending his police officer, who I don't know if he got moved or not from the location, but I fought that as well, But with our family code, the first off, the government can't take care of its own business. It's an absolute mess. But somehow these legislators and the family law attorneys think, but we can take care of your family for you.
That's right.
Cody, we're going to help. We're going to take care of, make sure that you're the proper father. To make sure that, and by the way, we're going to define what the proper father is. You cannot teach your child this, you cannot say this, you cannot say that. And I'm going to be honest with you, Cody, when my parents went through a divorce, I was with my father, and he was talking about having to hire an attorney, and the attorney not doing the work. And I thought, for me, somebody would say, you should never talk to your children about this type of situation. I think it's important
I do too.
that children know that in the state of Texas and in other states, the system is rigged. It's not fair. It's not justice.
From the beginning. So think about it this way, right? And a lot of kids go through and they're in some type of competition in their life, right?
Right.
Growing up, it's who did the best drawing, who wrote it the fastest, or spelling bees. And then as they move into, organized or team sports and things like that, walk on the field right now and put 20 points on the visiting team and say, here's your hurdle, home team. Yeah. You're the home team. You get the field that's yours. You practice on it every day. You get the press boxes. They're yours. You get to practice in them every day. Yeah. The fans are yours. They're the most that's going to show up. It's probably going to be 3 times what the visitors do because they had to drive 2 hours. Right. So we're going to just give them 20 to start with. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you can't kick any field goals. Yeah. So you throw that on them, right? And then you go from there. Yeah. And no matter how much you get back to what you were saying a while ago, which is 0, you're still at 0.
You're still at 0. Yeah.
You've not moved in any positive direction.
Yeah. I don't think people understand how bad these courts are. It's as if you're playing a game of chess, and I move my pawn, but instead of moving my pawn like a normal pawn, I move it like a queen.
Right. I go anywhere.
You say, wait a minute, you can't do that. Well, I just changed the rules.
That's right. In the middle of it.
Yeah, and then I've empowered all these pawns to become queens or whatever, and you're like, but there's no rules here.
Right.
Family court, for all of the hoorah-rah about it and everything else, it's that insane.
It is. Well, and you talk about no rules, and I'll bring a couple of instances in. I had the associate judge who made a ruling in disqualifying the counselors, presented my complaint in whole, basically. Yeah. Showed them in the family code where they couldn't do what they did. Yeah. Denied my request, denied my motion. I requested a de novo. I'm supposed to get a de novo within 30 days. Never heard it. Yeah. Filed a complaint with the ethics board. Nothing happened. We moved forward. That should have been enough right there to recuse a judge. Yeah. When you violate a law, it should be enough. Fast forward, and you can't get a judge removed just because you don't like their rulings. You have to find something. Yeah. But when you follow the track record, the TRO was granted, the next one was granted, this was granted, this was denied, and it's all on one side. Yeah. That's a track record. Yeah. And then when you start proving this, when you file a recusal, the judge doesn't even, and under 18A and B, it has very strict guidelines. Within 3 days, it is supposed to be sent to the administrative judge with all copies. Mm-hmm. 8 days later, he ruled on his own recusal. He can't do that. He violated the rules of civil procedure. Yeah. And then when you file a new recusal, because he violated the first recusal, and they let him stay on. Yeah. And then when you send it to the ethics board, they've done nothing. Yeah. And the only way that I've got them to review it now is because of the video. The video is the only thing that's keeping any type of my complaint open.
Well, maybe you ought to send me the video. I'll be glad to attach it.
I'll do that. It's very comical how he tells me that I don't know anything about the law, but yet he constantly keeps violating it.